Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Heritage Talks Online. My name is Heather Darch, and I'm here with Glenn Patterson, and we are project directors for the Quebec Anglophone Heritage Network, also known as QAN. Thank you for joining us today, and we welcome you to our series called Dreaming Big, inspiring stories from across Quebec's heritage community. In this series, we are exploring inspiring stories from Quebec's historical societies, museums, archives, community organizations, and cultural groups whose vision has had a lasting impact on Quebec's history and heritage. QAN is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to preserve and promote the history, heritage, and culture of Quebec. You're welcome to become a member of QAN, and membership is open to everyone, including community groups and heritage organizations. So please check out our website at qahn.org for more information on how to become a member. Membership gives you access to all sorts of great things going on in the network, to workshops, to lecture series, to new publications coming out, to new research projects. And it also gives you access to our quarterly publication called Quebec Heritage News. It's a great publication filled with articles and images about Quebec's history of all kinds. So if you'd like to get this in your mailbox 4 times a year and join a great positive network full of people interested in history and heritage, we encourage you to become a member. And we have a special deal going on right now, a 30% discount for a 1-year membership. That's just $20 for 1 year. But you have to let us know during this broadcast that you'd be interested in becoming a member. And you can send us a little note in the chat box on Zoom, or if you're on Facebook Live, just send us a message and we'll tell you how to take advantage of this special discount. We'd like to thank our sponsors who make this series possible, including Canadian Heritage, the Chalkers Foundation, the Zeller Family Foundation, and the Townshippers Foundation. Thank you very much. All of our presentations are recorded. So if you've missed any of the Heritage Talks online series, you can go to our Facebook page, Heritage Talks Facebook. It's a public site, so you don't need a Facebook page of your own. And you can click in and enjoy the past series. And you can also see what presentations are still to come. They go on into May of this year. I'm going to just introduce you to Glenn for a moment, and he's going to tell you a few things about maneuvering Zoom if you're new to the platform. Hi, Glenn.
Hi, Heather. Welcome, everyone. Indeed, if you're new to Zoom and if you're having any technical issues, sound or video or anything else, you can write me in the chat box. That's down at the bottom of the Zoom window if you're using a computer. You can address it to me directly or address it to everyone, and I'll do my best to help you out. If you're joining from a mobile device, a phone or a tablet, you may have to tap on the screen once to find the chat box, but same applies. And Facebook too, if you're watching on Facebook and you have any questions, leave a comment and then I'll try to get over there and take a look. This Heritage Talk is being both recorded and live streamed. So if you're joining us on Zoom and you're not comfortable with that, you can just hop over to Facebook Live, our QAN Heritage Talks page, and watch it live there as well. Otherwise, you're most welcome to stay. So that's all I have for now, Heather. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. Our guest speaker this afternoon is Sabrina Gamache-Mercurio, who is representing the Fondation François-Lamy located on Ile d'Orléans. Sabrina is passionate about travel, history, and genealogy. She's been a chartered genealogist since 2017 and is a graduate of Laval University, where she studied ethnology. Since 2012, she's been working at the Fondation François-Lamy, a nonprofit organization whose mission is to preserve the heritage of Ile d'Orléans. Her talk this afternoon is called The Fondation François-Lamy, Making Connections in Surprising Ways. Hi, Sabrina, and welcome to Heritage Talks Online.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for having me this afternoon. So let me start sharing the presentation. I hope everybody sees my prezi. If you have any question, you can ask them in the chat book. I'll answer them at the end of the presentation. So like Heather said, I'm Sabrina. I work at the Fondation François-Lamy, which is based on the island of Orleans near Quebec. Just a little geography, just to help you if you don't know where the island is. So obviously we're in Canada, in Quebec, the province, and we're right in the middle of the St. Lawrence River, right near Quebec. And there you'll find about 20 minutes from the downtown of Quebec, the island of Orleans, which is one of the, we can call the cradle of the New France era. So a lot of first settlers came to the island of Orleans to settle and became one of, like I said, the cradles of New France, and over 300 families settled on the island back then. So let's talk. And we're based, the island is divided in 6 parishes, which are today now only village. It's one big parish, but at the beginning was 6 parishes, and we're in the Sainte Famille, Ile d'Orléans. So if ever you come on the island, you take the bridge, you turn left, and we're the second parish after you got out of the bridge. So like I said, we're going to start talking about the Fondation François-Lamy, which is a nonprofit organization, like Heather said. We're going to start by saying where it all started. So we are, it was created in 1978. There were 3 persons that created it, and they united their strengths and their love for the heritage of Sainte Famille, and they created the François-Lamy Foundation. Their first goal was really to protect and share the history, the heritage of the little village. There were 3 of them. So Georges-Henri Blouin, that you can see right there. There is Pascal Poulain that you can see right there, and Bertrand Fournier, which was the priest of Sainte Famille back then. All 3 together, they created, like I said, the Fondation François-Lamy, and it was first based in the church. Right here, this Church of Sainte Famille, which, fun fact, the Church of Sainte Famille was built in 1749. So it's one of the rare churches that are still there from prior the French and Indian War. There's other church on the island that were there prior to the French and Indian War. This is one of them. Usually there's little statues on the church, but they're going to be replaced and restored. So there's no statue right now, but anyways. So their first mission, like I said, was to protect and share the heritage of the parish of Sainte Famille, and mostly religious heritage. So they first were based in the church. Since one of the 3 founders was the priest, it was easy to take place in the church to start and provide information. They started more of the genealogical research also from the island of Orleans. They started giving information, and they had access to all the documents of the church, which you're not supposed to, and they started giving the information out, which they weren't supposed to. So the documents were taken away, but they had still gathered a lot of information that they were still able to share to the people from Sainte Famille, but from all the island and the province of Quebec, because, like I said, over 300 families settled on the island. It makes a lot of people all aware. I just had a baby. I have a mom brain, okay? So it makes a lot of people from everywhere. We're talking Quebec, obviously, but a lot of people from from the English part of Canada, from the United States. So all those people would come to the island when they did their genealogical research, and they could go to those 3 founders and ask for more information. And 40 years later, our mission is to preserve and enhance the places of memories of the island Orleans roots through the large parts of the history of the Ile d'Orléans from yesterday to today and the life of its founding family. So we mostly share the history from the beginning with the First Nations, then the arrival of the Europeans. We provide a lot of information on genealogical research. We help people do their trees. We help people find information that they wouldn't be able to find or have trouble finding on their own. And to do so, we own 2 sites. We own La Maison de nos Aïeux, that is the old rectory of Sainte Famille. We're going to talk about it soon. And La Maison Drouin, that I will talk about after. So those are the 2 sites that we own. And let's start with La Maison de nos Aïeux, and it's our biggest part of our foundation. This is where our office are. It's where everything really happens. So the Maison de nos Aïeux, just a brief history. It was built in 1888. It was the old rectory of Sainte Famille. It was the 4th rectory of Sainte Famille, for the just a fun fact. It cost $4,000 to build in 1888. Probably sure. Right now we're just redoing the roof, and it's about $500,000 to do. So clearly we don't have the same money that we have back then. Like I said, it's the old rectory of Sainte Famille. It was in activity until 1997, so the priest lived there until 1997, and then due to the lack of people going to churches and the religious service that are getting less and less in demand, they united the parishes of the north together, and they united the parish of the south together. So there was only 2 parishes, and the rectory was moved to Saint-Pierre, where there was a newer church, where all the masses were held and everything. Still today, though, in the church, for information, if you want to, and if you want to go to a mass, you can look up the schedule of the masses on the island. There's they rotate from church to one another because they're still in activity, all of them. So the rectory, the priest left in 1997, and the foundation became the owner of the foundation of the rectory in 1998, and it opened to the public almost immediately. And we are the history and genealogical center of the island of Orleans. So just to zoom in through the picture, I think it's one of a very, very beautiful picture. Some of the things have changed, but the building is still most likely like that. So on the at the Maison de nos Aïeux, we do lots of information. We have lots of information on the founding families, like I said. So let's say you have ancestors that came and settled on the island, and you want to know where they live, what they did, all kinds of information like that. We can provide them. We're going to give you the address to the old land. We're going to give you any information that you may want to know. So those are basic information that we have. So you can just arrive there, and the person that's there, that's going to welcome you, is going to be able to provide all those informations. We also have a documentation center. So let's say you have a lot of information, but you're seeking for more information and you have time on your hand. You could join, you can come into our documentation center. It's, you only have to pay the entrance fee, which is $5. So it's very, very cheap. And you have books, you have access to other data on the computers and everything. We also provide an access to ancestry.com, PRDH, which is, and Genealogy Quebec. Those are 2 of the, I think it's 2 of the best website that you can do your French Canadian genealogy. So we provide an access to it, but you have to become a member of the foundation to have those access given to you, and you have to come to our office to access them. We cannot give you like a code or something like that, so you can access them from home. But still, if you come on the island, you can become a member and schedule your time there, and you have unlimited PRDH, Genealogy Quebec, and Ancestry that you can use, plus the books and all of the data that we have in our documentation center. We also give help. So we have, like I said, the basic information that we can provide to anyone that just arrives at the Maison de nos Aïeux. But we also, I'm like Heather said, I have my genealogy diploma, let's say it like that. So I can give you, I can do your trees if it's something that you want to do your tree or do a tree of someone that you like or love. So it can be a nice gift. And I also provide help, individual help. So we can schedule a moment and we're going to meet. It can be via Zoom, so you don't have to come to our office to have the help that you want. And it can be at our facilities if you want to visit the island at the same moment. So those are, we call them consultation. You need to be a member to have access to those consultations. And it goes to Sabrina, can you tell me how can I do my genealogy? So the very basic of starting your genealogical research. And it can go as far as, Sabrina, I know that one of my ancestors was on the island from that date and that date, and I need some informations, I don't know, a specific information that you may be looking for. Like, is it true that he had a kid with that lady and stuff like that? So I cover a very large area of information that you can ask me. I usually ask people to give me the not the information, but their questions prior to the meeting so we can maximize our time and I can do some pre-research before. Let's say I cannot help you because the information is not available. Sometimes people think that we can find everything, but our ancestors left with a lot of secrets. So sometimes we cannot you cannot find the answer. They just left with it. So I'll email you and say that I don't think that consultation will be needed because I cannot help you more than what you already have. But if I can, I'll be happy to do the pre-research and to help you during our time together. We also have a scale model of the island. Let me show you the image. So let's say you have an ancestor that was based on the island. I'll be able to tell you where he was. So I'll say he was in Sainte-Famille on the plot 31. His land was 3 acres wide. It went from the river all the way to the middle of the island because that's how they divided lands back there. Everybody needed an access to the river. So all the lands went from the river all the way to the middle of the island, and from the middle of the island to the other shore, there was another family that was based there. So I'll be able to tell you where he was. And it's going to give you like a nice perspective because it's kind of rare that you fly over the island and that you really clearly see everything on the island. So I'll tell you this is the bridge. That's all kind of cue to help you figure out the island in your head. And then for most of the lands, I'll be able to give you an address related to that land, and you'll be able to go on site and see your where your ancestors used to live. You may not see houses because a lot of the houses were burned or were destroyed or whatever. Some old houses still exist. Maison Drouin is an example that we're going to talk about it right after. But if you're lucky, you'll see a house. And if not, well, you'll see where your ancestor was living, and you'll see the view he had and where he used to live and all. And we have more. We also offer village tour of Sainte-Famille. So you can come. I don't know what day it's going to be this summer, but usually it's on Mondays. We provide English and French tour of the village. We provide historical tour. Let's say you don't have interest in genealogy, you just want to know more about the history of the island. We can also give you those information. And we also, if you're wanting to do a conference or stuff like that, we have a room that you can rent and everything. So we provide a lot of information also. And surrounding the Maison de nos Aïeux, we have le Parc des Ancêtres, Ancestors Park, if we can translate it. It was inaugurated in 2001. It was, let me get the pictures out. So it's the biggest public park of the island. It's free. You can come, you can eat your picnic, you can just relax, you can come and play with your kids, you can do whatever you want to do in a park. We also rent the park if you want to get married. That's where I got married 4 years ago. It's very, very nice near the river. Very neat place. Like I said, it's the largest public park, so you can come and do whatever you. There's no need to take a rendezvous or something like that. You can just barge in and enjoy your time on the park. It was there to commemorate all the founding families of the island. And to do so, we have the Founding Families Memorial. So there it is right there. You have all the name of the settlers. I said that there was over 300 families on the island, and it is true. I'm not lying. Although on the plaques that you can see, we have less than 300 names because sometimes we had to draw a line on who can be on the plaque or not. If, like, let's say your ancestor was on the island less than a year and did not have any children on the island or didn't have any children at all, we may not consider it like a founding family, but he still is part of the founding families of the island. But we kind of draw a line so that we didn't have like dozens of plaques on the monument. And from in 2013, we redid the plates and we added the wife's name. We added only the first wife's name. So if the husband got married more than once, you'll only see the first wife. And if the wife had more than one husband, you'll see only her first husband, because then again, we had to make space because wives and husband could get married 2, 3, 4 times. That makes a lot of names, but you can see your name there if you have ancestors from the island. Some of the things that we kept was if they lived on the island for 5 years or more, if they had children, obviously, and well, if they got married. So if they had children, they were married, but some people lived on the island and never got married, but they still joined the effort of building the island, cutting trees, opening space and everything, but we don't consider them as founding families for that monument. But we still have information on them if you come on the island. So a little zoom in on the little statue. If you come in the winter though, we cover the plaques, so you won't be able, anyway, there's so much snow that right now we barely see the statue. But so don't come in the winter, wait till summer if you want to see your name on the plaques. So that was for the Maison de nos Aïeux. So it's, like I said, the old rectory, so you can find it right near the church. And this is La Maison Drouin. If I'm honest, it's my favorite place on the island, other than my house. But it is also, I think, a rare jewel that we have on the island. I don't think there's a lot of houses in the province that are well kept like this one. So let me just talk to you about the house before I talk to you about how you can visit it. So the Maison Drouin was built in 1730, the first square. So when you look at the house, you have the chimney. So where the door is, all that part was built in 1730. And all the other part from the other side of the chimney with the 2 windows, well, 3 windows, was built in 1734. So there's only 4 years apart from those 2 squares. It's not very, it's very common, I mean, that people would build their house in 2 times because they're gonna need a roof over their head very quickly. And then when the family gets bigger and they have not more time, but they have a roof over their head, so they have a shelter to go in when it's not nice out, they're gonna usually build another part to their houses. So the second square was built in 1734, and when you visit it, you'll see that there's clearly 4 years is a lot back then. The floor is more beautiful on the other side. The beams are smaller and more worked. You clearly see the difference between those two squares. From 1730 all the way to 1872, there was 5 generations of Canac-Dimarquis. So the first person that lived in the house was François Canac-Dimarquis. He built the first square of the house, and he he got married, but not while living in the house. So he exchanged his house with his brother, Jean-Baptiste Canac-Dimarquis, who was already married to Marguerite Drouin. Be careful, the Drouin house is not for Marguerite Drouin. I'm gonna tell you later why we call it the Drouin house. But he exchanged his house with Jean-Baptiste Canac-Dimarquis, who was married to Marguerite, and they were waiting for, they were expecting twins. So he was in a rush to have a house and to settle with his family. In 1872, I'm not going to talk more about the history, but something kind of tragic happened. So the Gamache-Mercurio were forced to sell the house. And that's when the Drouin come in scene. So there was 3 generations of the Drouin. They live in the house from 1872, obviously, all the way to 1984. The house, they lived as is. There was no modernization in the house. So they lived no water. The electricity, though, was installed in the 1940s, but you can assume that in the 1980s, the electricity that was installed in the 1940s was very, very old already. So no water, no bathrooms, electricity, like I said, it's not a lot of amperes anyways. It was enough for a radio and I think 5 light bulbs, not much, not more. So they lived in the house as is. They never changed it. They didn't change the floors. They didn't change the beams. They didn't change nothing in the house. They added those divisions because when we go back to the New France area, the people usually did not do divisions in their house. Everybody slept, ate, do whatever in the same room for various reasons. But the most common is the heat. If you start dividing your room and you only have 1 chimney, 1 fireplace, some of the rooms won't get enough heating, so that you won't be comfortable in those rooms. So, and in France, they even slept with the animals, because the more people you have in a house, the more heat you have in a house. It's just normal. Just think about your Christmas parties. When there's 50 person in the house, it gets really hot quicker. So the more you have people living in a house, the more heat it provides. So no divisions back then. So everybody, like I said, ate, sleep, do whatever in the room. But further on, when the heating installation was better, then they would do division. So that's a modernization that they did, but that's about it. And in 1984, the people that were living there were getting old, so they went to a house in Quebec to finish their life. That sounds tragic, but they went there, and then the last person that lived in the house, that owned the house, they all died in 1990. So from 1990 to 1996, nothing happened in this house. Nobody lived in it. Anyway, in 1996, who would have want to live, or even 1990, who would have want to live in a house that has no water, no bathrooms, and it's very, very old. So the people that inherit the house back then didn't really know what to do with the house. So they just kept it like that as is, never touched it. And the foundation became the owner in 1997. So people on the island started saying, okay, people, that's the house, we need to preserve it, we need to save it. It's, like I said, a jewel. We need to share all the heritage that house has, because the walls can speak. There's a lot of things that you can feel in that house. I mean, 59 children were born in those walls, so it's kind of a lot. So we bought the house for the symbolic amount of $1 in 1997. And then 1997, right after the same year, we opened it to the public. So it was kind of just come and see, because we didn't have visit plan, or we didn't have guided tours already planned and all. So in 1997, that's when we opened the house. Unfortunately, between 1990 and 1996, the house was robbed from all of the furnitures. So the furnitures that you're going to see in the house are not the furnitures that were in the house back when the people were still living in it. I mean, nobody was living in the house, and there was a white truck that just pulled over, emptied the house, and left. And the neighbors thought that it was just the owners that were emptying the house. They didn't think that they were getting robbed or nothing, and they were. So everything was taken away, except for like 2 or 3 things that we have from the house. But still, today, you can, we say that you can time travel. So you can get in the house like your ancestor lived in. So even if your ancestors was not from the island, at one moment in New France, everybody had the same house, had the same furnitures, and had the same way of living. So you can really visit, when it's the old floor. You can see all the trace of the people that live there. So it's really time travel that you can do it in it. We have a visit with an iPad, so it's you walk with your iPad and you see images of the old time and you see the house and everything. So it's really time travel. So you can see a house that was built in 1730, which is not rare in the sense that there's a lot of houses in Quebec that were built even prior 1730. And just so you know, the Maison Drouin is not the oldest house on the island. It's there's older houses that were built that are still up on the island, but it's the only one that you can visit as is. No more. And even when we did our restoration in 2013, we kept it as is. So the roof is kind of bubbly. We kept it like that. There's the last owner had cats, and the cat used to do their nails on the doors and everything. We kept the marks of those cats. So we kept everything as is. It was very important for us to keep the spirit of the place living. And you can learn more about your ancestors' everyday life. Obviously, you're going to learn more about the people living in the house because we have a lot of information. They left a lot of trace in papers with notary papers and all that. So we have a lot of information on that. But you'll get also, we'll tell you, okay, so our ancestors used to make butter. That's how they did it. They had a dairy. That's how they would keep their meat and everything fresh. So we're going to talk about all that. So you can really see how your ancestor used to live. And we're going to tell the history all the way to when the foundation got the house. And that's how the foundation started. Well, they had, in 1978, they had the Fondation François-Lamy with few information, and it was based in the church. But once we've got the Maison Drouin, and then the year after we got the Maison de nos Aïeux, that's when we really became the organization that protects and share the heritage of the island of Orleans. And yeah, so there's many ways to follow us and to learn more if you want to know more about us. So obviously we have Facebook pages, one for Maison de nos Aïeux and one for the Maison Drouin. We have an Instagram page also, both for both houses. We have a YouTube channel, so Fondation François-Lamy. We have videos on the Maison Drouin during the restoration. So if you're interested in knowing how we restored the house, what we did, what we found, there are six little videos that you can go and see. And if you have an interest in genealogy and you're very new to it, I did tutorials on genealogy that you can all go and see on the Fondation François-Lamy YouTube channel. We obviously have a website, so fondationfrancoislamy.com, and we have an online bookshop. So genealogy in French, so IE at the end, EO.com, and you'll have information on your first families, and you have books, books, files, whatever you have that we have on our physical bookshop, you'll have it online. The pandemic helped us with that. And if you want to become a member of our foundation, also, you can go on our online bookshop and you can subscribe to become a member. It's $20 for a year, $35 for a couple or for friends or whoever. You can just buy 2 memberships for $35. It's good for a year. So when if you become a member today, it's going to be good all the way to March 26th. 2023. Yeah, we're going to be 2023. And when you become a member, you got a 15% discount on your purchase on our online bookshop or here at the Maison de nos Aïeux. You also get access, like I said earlier, to Ancestry, PRDH, and Genealogy Quebec. And you also get free entrance to the Maison de nos Aïeux and the Maison Drouin all year round. Well, the Maison Drouin is only open from June to October at Thanksgiving, and the Maison Drouin de nos Aïeux. Wait, the Maison de nos Aïeux is open all year round, and the Maison Drouin is open from June all the way to Thanksgiving. I don't know if I confused anyone, but anyway, it's all written on our websites. You can obviously write to me. So this is my email. Right now, I'm getting out of my maternity leave to be with you today, but I'm not working currently right now because I have a little baby. But someone is there to answer your emails. And if you have any genealogical information, even if I won't be answering, I'll be giving the information and I'll help the people to answer to you. So you can write to us right now. Somebody's going to answer to your information. And that is it. So thank you. And I hope if you have any question, it's going to be the time to ask them. And if not, well, thank you to be there. And I was really happy to be with you today.
Thank you, Sabrina. A really interesting presentation about a place that I didn't know anything about. And it's really wonderful to learn about the wonderful buildings that the foundation takes care of. And I'm going to just pass it over quickly to Glenn before I go on any further about just a reminder on how everybody can ask you questions.
Indeed. Great job, Sabrina. If you want to ask Sabrina a question, there's a few options. But you can use the chat box on Zoom if you're with us on Zoom. You can just say, I have a question, and then I'll queue you up and I'll unmute your microphone that way. Or you can type your question into the chat and Heather or myself will read it on your behalf. Similarly, if you're watching on Facebook Live, type your question in the comment section and I'll relay it to Sabrina for you. So Heather, I know you usually have a question ready to go. So back.
I do. Sabrina, I was wondering if any Scots soldiers from Wolfe's army in 1759 or Irish from the potato famine in the 1840s settled on the island, and if you have any information about families that came a little later than the founding families.
Yeah, we do have information. We don't have as much as information as we have for the first settlers that came, but we do have some of information of the people that settled later on the island. I know a lot of, I don't know if they were Scots, but I know that a lot of English came and settled on the island after the French and Indian War, because in 1759, the English army used the island as a base. So in May of 1759, the island was evacuated of all of the people living on it. Because the French knew that the English would want to come on the island because it's a very strategic area to come and see Quebec. So in May of 1759, the whole island was evacuated, and the French were right. The English settled on the island for the summer, and then happened what happened on the Plains of Abraham in September of 1759. And after that, the English kept the seigneurie system because they thought that that system was already in place, was already working. So they kept it, but they took all of the French seigneurs or landlords. They took them off of their lands, and they put English there. So a lot of the English, I know that James Murray had a seigneurie on the island, and he obviously brought some of his friends and soldiers with him. So a lot of English settled on the island back then, but not for long, because still today there's only 1% of the island that is English speaking. It is still very, very French. It was kind of hard to, the island, due to the fact that it's an island, you cannot outgrow the island. So the French was already settled on the island, so you cannot move all of the peasant to put some of the English people on it. But there were, I know there were a little bit of Irish, but not a lot. A little bit of English, but not a lot. And then one of the parish of Sainte-Pétronille, that's when Quebec became more of a little bit more English. When the English had more of the money, the factories and everything, and that the French Quebecers were more of the peasant and living and working in the factories and everything. A lot of the rich person of Quebec, English speakers mostly, came to the island at Sainte-Pétronille. It was kind of their Cuba, I guess. They had their summer houses there, and they would spend the summer there. So Sainte-Pétronille has more of the English heritage of the island. And even when you come on the island and you do the whole turn, all the 5 other parishes, you'll see the same houses, the same way of building stuff. And when you get to Sainte-Pétronille, it's a totally other architecture. It's very Englishy, very, very English. But we have information on those, but not that much right now.
Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Vicky, I think, has a, oh, sorry, Glenn.
Well, I was going to say the same thing.
Okay, Vicky has a question.
I'm going to unmute you, Vicky. Just give me a second. You can start your video if you want, or you can leave it off.
Okay.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi, how are you? Actually, Heather just asked my question, and Sabrina answered very all the aspect that I wanted to, but I wanted to pass the information about my personal experience, because I visited the few times the Fondation François-Lamy and the Maison Drouin also last summer. And I was really amazed by all the help that I got, because part of my family is French Canadian on my mother's side. My mother's maiden name is Dallaire, so I was able to locate the lot that my first ancestor, the settler, he constructed the house where he lived, and that was really something for me, and I wanted to share that with you, that it's been dear to my heart, so thank you for that.
Oh, it's nice to hear. I'm very happy you enjoyed your time with us. That's what we
Thank
want
you.
to do.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
I see Matthew Farfan has a question. Matthew, I'm going to unmute you. Hey, Matthew.
Hi, Sabrina. You are you're a natural speaker. That was really fascinating, and
thank you.
your enthusiasm really comes out. It's amazing. My question: you have a lot of different properties that you are in charge of. I was just wondering how that must be daunting at times, to have so many heritage buildings to look after, as far as maintenance and insurance and the million things that old buildings can end up requiring. Where does the funding come from for all of that?
Yeah, well, it is a lot. I will say I'm lucky. It's not in my field. It's more of the direction area. So my friend takes care of all that. But it is a lot of maintenance to keep those buildings alive. It is our mission, though. So it's part of what we are, of our DNA, to keep those building ups. And we are not close to having any more buildings. Not another house like the Maison Drouin. If we had another building, we would want it to be different, to offer another perspective of the way of life on the island. Our money comes. We are very proactive. So we have usually, well, the pandemic did not help us with that, but we usually have a cocktail every year, and we collect over $20,000 just with that cocktail. It seems a lot, but to provide for two buildings like that, plus the park, plus our employees and other stuff that we have, it is not that much. We have our memberships. Obviously, we have a lot of members, people that are enjoying their time here becomes member. It's a direct way to help and to help provide for those buildings. And obviously, we cannot hide it. We're a nonprofit organization, and we have a lot of help from the government, from Quebec's government. For instance, we have what we call, I don't know how to say it in English, but aide au fonctionnement, which they provide a lot of money to help us. It's not 50% of our money. We provide more. We make more money than they give money to us. But still, if they would cut this help, we would need another help somewhere else. And for our employees, we are right now we are able to have 3 employees full time, and we have other people partial time throughout the years. So and in the summer we hope to have 6 students to visit, to do the visit and do the guided tours and everything. And this is all, not all, but 85% of their salary is given by federal. So there's 2 programs, Young Canadians at Work, something like that.
Jeunesse Emploi.
Ouais, Jeunesse Canada au travail et Emploi Été Canada. So those are big help. So that's how we keep everything on board. I must say that we're lucky. Like I said, we are really proactive. So we don't have a lot of problem with money. We are able to find money and everything. But yeah, we have a lot of help from the government, and we're very proactive in our funding things.
You must have some really good, loyal supporters, because I don't hear too many heritage groups say they don't have problems getting money. So congratulations. It's an inspiring success story. I haven't been to Ile d'Orléans for so many years, but you're making me want to go back.
Oh, welcome. It's very nice in the summer.
Yes.
Thank you, Matthew.
Sort of with that vein in thought, do you have a lot of volunteers helping you as well?
Yes, we do. Just like, yeah, let's say, let's give him, he's not there, so maybe he'll hear us somewhere. We have a volunteer that is with us since 20 years. We have other volunteers, but the one that I want to talk about, I talk about the park. It's a public park. We don't get any money for that, not any government money. We don't get at all, no money for it. But we wanted to, and we want it to be pretty. We want it to be a nice space. So it's been 10 years this year, from June all the way to October, 7 days a week. He's in the little shed beside the Maison de nos Aïeux, and he sells books. We collect used books, and he sells them between $2 and $10 a book. And all the money that he makes, because he's a volunteer, so all the money that he makes is put right into the park. So it's this year he made over $10,000 just by selling books and talking and being who he is. And he comes in the winter because we get a lot of book all year round, and we do also a flea market. So the $10,000 is only for his books, and the flea market we get about $300 to $400, $4,000 during that weekend. So he keeps the books, he stored them, because sometimes people give us books that we know we won't sell, even if they're only $2. So he do all the cleaning and all the organization, and he's there. I have to say 7 days a week, all the way from June to Thanksgiving. So yeah, we have volunteers. That's one example, but we have very volunteers that are been there since 20, 30 years, and I don't know how we would do without them. I don't know.
It's amazing. I think a lot of organizations need a little shed with a volunteer selling books in them, because that's an incredible amount of money to bring into an organization. And I know you said $20,000 wasn't a lot for your cocktail party, but that is really impressive.
We have a big cocktail.
One night. It's a one event. Wow.
Yeah, one night thing. It's a supper that we do in the school in front of the Maison de nos Aïeux. But we have the island of Orleans, due to the fact that it's an island and they only had a bridge in 1935. So before that, they didn't have any bridge. So yeah, in the winter you could walk on the ice. There was a natural bridge that was created, and in the summer you can take a boat, canoe, whatever. But during the time when the ice is not frozen enough that you cannot walk, but you cannot take a boat, people were kind of cut from everything everywhere. So the people on the island really work together, and they still do. So when we shout out that we need something, a lot of people are just going to come to us and help us. And the same thing for other organizations. If they have problems, we're going to help them. We really work together, even though sometimes we're in competitions. But we think that the more we work together, the better the island goes. And the better the island goes, the more tourists we have, and it can all benefit to everyone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And you mentioned that COVID probably hit you in a certain way. Can you tell me how you've managed to rebound from that?
COVID did hurt at the beginning. We obviously had less visitors, because I won't hide that a big 35% of our visitors are Americans, because they are very interested in their French Canadian roots, and they like to come here. And they're one of my favorite tourists because they're very happy to be here and they're always happy to have information. So they're just happy tourists. So 35% of our tourists are Americans. So that hurt a lot, but that's when we started doing our tutorials online. So that was free, but it gave us a lot of memberships. A lot of Americans became members through those tutorials that they saw, and then they had consultations, and then it was always in our mind to have an online bookshop to join those Americans, especially. So the pandemic gave us a lot of time to do that because we didn't have any tourists at our houses. So we did our online bookshop, and the first year we made over $1,000 selling on our bookshop. So that was very great. And last year was our first, 2021 was our first total year, and we made over $300 only with our bookshop online. So that was very interesting. And we started doing conferences. So we started to charge people, and I started building a lot of conference. So we have a lot of conference in our pocket right now that I can just give. And a lot of American association paid us to provide a conference to their members. So that's how we work things out. And I will also not lie that the government helped us a lot. They pay a lot of the salary of our employees. The other thing that is really hurting us right now, and it's hurting everyone, is the lack of employees. We don't, even though our houses are beautiful, the island is beautiful, we need 6 guys to work, like to have our normal schedule going. And the last year we had 3 and 4. So that's challenging. And we had to do more and more guiding downstairs. So some of our other projects are getting slower. But still, we're still working on our project and providing information downstairs in our in the museum. So yeah, the COVID hurt, but not that much. We really managed to find our way out of the darkest spot.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's silver linings for a lot of heritage groups that they became a little more savvy when it came to online material, and like you said, you created conferences. Is that like something you can click into now to see? Are they on like YouTube, for example, or?
Right now we have some on YouTube. They're more of the tutorial on the genealogy that we did. There's 4 in French, 2 in English, I think. But we created those conferences, but we're more advertising them to associations in the US or in the English part of Canada, and we're giving them to them. So they pay us and we give them to their members. So right now there's not, I think one of the association, I don't remember their name, has a conference that you can click and pay for it, but we don't get money for it because I already got paid for the conference. But we're doing slowly. And this year, I think, well, I'm in maternity leave right now, so everything is slower at that point. But we want to do a pamphlet or something like that and send it out to the genealogical resources in the US to present the conference that we have that are already created, to give them to them. And like I said earlier, my dad lives in Michigan, so I go to Michigan quite often. So I'm trying to connect with them and see if I could not do a live conference while I'm at my dad's, so he can keep the baby, and I would do the conference back there. So we're trying to get known, and the memberships are really helping us with that.
It's making those connections to the English audience is really interesting. Sorry, Glenn, I interrupted you again. Sorry.
Well, it's okay. I mean, it's such a great discussion. And of course, the like Franco-American heritage and interest. I mean, I have like friends in New England, and they want to know whatever they can. And unfortunately, through the generations, they've lost their ancestral language. But it's really a great service to be able to provide that. We have a question on Facebook from Michelle Thibault. She's asking, how are you recruiting the next generation of support for the foundation? Are they engaged? And if so, what's attracting them to your organization and work?
We are currently, like, a lot of our volunteers are 50 and older. So we are currently aware that they're going to leave soon. They're going to well, they're going to have to leave. It's the natural way. So we are slowly thinking about it. We're trying to recruit youngest member of our administration council. We're trying to recruit our employees. Well, we recruit students for one. And I must say we're a nice team. We keep our employees along. And even when they leave, they always come back to volunteer because we are very bubbly. We have fun. My boss, the director of the foundation, she's my friend. So it's a very friendly area where we always have fun. Sometimes I have to say we don't work that much. We have more fun, but that's when our crazy ideas comes out, and that's when we build new ideas. That's when our craziest, like our online bookshop was just something we were talking about, having fun, thinking, and then we just did it. So we're trying to be as friendly as possible, as interesting as possible, offering a lot of flexibility. So let's say I have a children, well, not let's say I have a children now. I know that if I have to bring her to work because any reason, it'll be okay. Last week we are right now connecting with France. There's an organization in France, and they were here in March, 2 weeks ago, and we're going there in September. So we're trying to build a bridge to help the genealogical research in France. So I wanted to be there, but I had a 3-month-old, so she came along, and everybody was happy to see her. Anyways, she was the star of the place. So we're trying to be attractive in those ways, and we're having fun. That's our main priority. I wouldn't be there if I didn't have any fun.
I have a question.
Yep.
I'm also like a lot of people, I knew almost nothing about Ile d'Orléans, but I was trying to think. I remember reading an article a couple of years ago. I studied folklore, and I know you studied ethnology. It was written by Lucy Morissette, who I think studied ethnology at Laval. I could be wrong. But in the article, she's talking about, it seems like Ile d'Orléans was like this very important site in legislation about protecting heritage in Quebec, going back to the 1920s and 30s. And I just, while you were doing your presentation, I just looked up the article, and she mentioned this loi concernant l'Ile d'Orléans, basically trying to protect it from becoming too modern. I think there was even like a prohibition on building gas stations on the island. I could be wrong, but there was a lot in place. And I wondered, are those laws or any versions of those laws still in existence that sort of prevent the development of the island? I only think that because of the suburbs of Quebec City are getting so big, and we know suburban development is often a threat to heritage. So I'd just love to hear what the legacy of those laws is 100 years later.
They're still there for the most part. We are, for the Quebec government, we're a historical area, and for Canada also, like old Quebec, like old Montreal, we have those status. And in the 1920s, there was still no bridge on the island, so it was really when people from ethnologic background or historical background, the island was really kind of a treasure, that when you got to be on the island, they were really living the old way of life. They were not like really retarded, let's say that. I mean, they still had tourists back then, and there were boats coming and everything, so they still knew what was going on, but they still had a very specific way of life. And yeah, laws are here still to protect those traditions. We have, earlier I said that on the island we are very friendly together, we work together, we are very close one another. And that is very important because still today, when you want to build something on the island, let's say Caisse des Jardins or a BMI, which is a hardware store, those are all cooperative. So they're all based on the fact that you become a member and that we all work together and everybody benefits from that, from working together. And the only stores that you'll find on the island that are not that are big chains, but are not like Case Jardin or BMR, is a drugstore, because we need a drugstore. There's a gas station, but there's only one gas station on the island. It's at the entrance, and you won't find any other. And as of restaurants, there's no McDonald's, no Tim Hortons, no nothing. They're not allowed. Tim Horton has been trying since years and years to get right beside our gas station. But if Tim Horton comes right there near the gas station at the entrance of the island, it's going to kill all the little coffees all around the island. So they're not allowed. It is a law. You're not allowed to have Maxis or any kind of groceries that are big groceries. And as of house buildings, it is true and not true at the same time, but there are laws on how you can build your house on the island. It must look like it was old or fit in the decor and the landscape. Although there's a lot of houses, when you do your tour, you're gonna say, "Oh my God, that's not that does not fit in the landscape." But it's just that the law is kind of new. So in the 1970s, people could build bungalows and stuff like that with no problems. And let's say that the government is kind of slow. So every time you want to do something, I build a house here. It's not a historical house. It was built, the first time it was built in 1962. So it's not an old house at all. But when I wanted to redo the roof, I had to call the government of Quebec, the culture area, and ask them, "Can I do my roof, please?" And they said, "Yeah, but what is going to be the material you're going to use?" And I said, "Okay, I'm going to use that." And they said, "Okay, but what color?" So I said, "I'm going to use that color." So they said, "Okay, so that color is okay." And I'm not even a historical building. So just think of someone who owns a historical house. They have to say what nails they're going to use, what color they're going to paint their windows, what colors or what windows they're going to install. If they want to change their windows, the window has to look old. So it's a lot of let's say you want to build a pool. Well, you're going to have to buy work with archaeologists, and you're not allowed to dig more than a certain amount of. We're redoing our balconies at the Maison Wine, and we have to have archaeologists because we're gonna have to dig into the land, and they want to be sure we don't lose anything. So it is quite overwhelming. But I mean, if you stay on the island, you already have that sense of protecting and wanting to save. So I guess it comes with it. But it takes a long time before you can have the okay to do something. So sometimes people are just getting tired and say, "Okay, whatever, I'll pay the fees and I'll just do whatever." But not a lot of people do that. So yeah, there's still a lot that protects the island. And I think that's charming in a certain way. It did make me curse a little when I was doing my roof because it was long and it was leaking. But I mean, I live on the island and I want to protect history and our heritage, so no problem with that.
Wonderful. It seems like the law has basically served the island well. I'm sure it's not always been easy, but I think it seems like people recognize its value. I see Matthew has another question. Matthew, I'm just going to unmute you.
Yep.
Hey, Matthew.
Would your reaction to your roof be typical of most property owners, or is there a lot more impatience with heritage? It's such a pain and there's so many controls by the government.
There is a lot of impatience. I must say, I was myself impatient because my roof was leaking and I had to do it like yesterday, and they were just like waiting on the colors and the nails and everything. Sometimes it is, and sometimes people are impatient, especially the younger people. It's sad to say because they don't have that sense of protecting. They're living on the island, they're having fun on the island. They don't think like further in advance. And also I must say though, for a while it was really hard to do anything on the island, really. So people were getting frustrated because let's say you have an old house and you want to protect it, but you still want to live in 2022. So sometimes the government is kind of being very strict about it. You know, I talked about the shed beside the Maison de nos Aïeux. It's a hangar à dîmes. So that's where the priest used to keep his grains and everything back then. And it's the only one left on the island. And it's falling apart. Like, it's falling. We were urging the government to restore it. We're going to restore it right this spring. And the foundation are made out of rocks that were on the island. And to do that, it's going to cost a lot of money. Those foundations are not seen, are not visible to anyone. And so we asked if we could do it in cement, because it's going to be less expensive and it's going to last longer. And the answer was no, because we're on the island and it's protected. So sometimes there are impatience. Sometimes you're like, okay, I understand, but we're still in 2023. And if you want your shed to be there in 100, 200 years, maybe we should use the cement, because I understand for everything that is seen, but for the other part, I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's going to cost just the shed, to redo the shed, it's going to be $300,000. Yeah. So there are impatience. So let's say it's your house and you don't really, you want to protect the heritage, but you still want to live and not being paying like crazy. It is hard. So the line is sometimes very slim between, okay, I understand, and okay, the government is overreacting right now. It's like that.
Yeah, that's interesting, Sabrina. And I mean, it can work to your advantage, but in protecting the Drouin house, for example.
Yeah.
But if you're living there on the island and you want to like create a pool or a porch, as you said, I mean,
Yep.
that's going to be quite complicated, isn't it, to get the archaeologists going around the house. And it'd be fascinating if they found something, but I suppose that would be an even bigger complication then, right?
Yep. Yeah, if they
Yeah.
found something, you can wait for your pool for the next 10 or 15 years for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
For
Although,
sure.
and if your house, though, because if your house is classified, like Maison Drouin is classified since 2010 or something like that, the government's going to give you a whole lot of money. So you don't really care if it's expensive, because they're just going to give you everything to do it, because they want to protect it. But let's say your house is old, but not classified, but you're still on the island of Orleans, which is a historical area. Well, then you'll have to pay 100% of it, but with the rules of a classified house. So that's where sometimes people are, but when you're buying an old house, you have to be aware that it's going to cost more to restore, because you're not going to renovate it, you're going to restore it. It's a slight difference, but it's very important.
Yeah, fascinating. These are things I never would have even thought of, but it's very interesting. And I know that people are clicking in saying, excellent presentation, very informative, and I don't think there are any other questions. Certainly not on Zoom. Anything else on Facebook, Glenn? No. So, there's one more question from Vicky. Do you want to ask it, Vicky, yourself?
I'll
get
unmute
Glenn.
Vicky.
Okay, go
just
ahead.
Mute yourself, Vicky, if you want me to read it for you. Vicky.
Okay. I was just wondering if there's other things that we can visit on the island. Like, for example, I tried to access to the Saint Francois Church many times, but it's always closed. So it's the only one church that around the island that I was not able to access. I've been on the island like maybe 3 or 4 times during the last 10 years, and it's always closed. And I was just an anecdote. Many years ago, like 20 years ago or so, there was a suicide in the church. Someone ran over the with the car down the front door, and the church was on fire. And they found like that there was an inscription that was written by an English soldier in the 1750s or so, when the French and Indian War. He wrote his name on the wall inside the church. I wanted to see that, but it's always closed.
Yeah, the churches, they have they have a hard time hiring people to make visits in the church. Saint Famille was not open last year. They didn't have any employees, so they really work on volunteers, which are very, very old right now, and some of them are passing, so they have less and less volunteers, and they don't have a lot of money. It's crazy though, because if you go to higher level, they have a lot of money, but when you go down to the churches and they want to visit, they don't have any money to pay their employees. So they're having a hard time to provide employees to provide visits and everything. Saint Francois right now though is being restored. It's being restored for the last 2 or 3 years, so that's why we can visit it, because there's a lot of working in the church that are being done. So yeah, the church, usually you can visit them, but I would just say come when there's masses. You'll be able to visit them, no problem at all. You'll have to witness the mass but
No problem.
it's fun anyway. So you can see they have their there's one priest for the whole island, but he rotates, so you can see that. And as of other places that you can visit on the island, obviously there's a whole lot more. We were for a very, very, very long time, and still are today, providing food for Quebec City. So there's a lot of farming, there's a lot of place where you can go apple picking, strawberry picking, whatever picking, we have it. You can go and have wine and everything. So that's 80% of our tourists comes for the food tourism. You also have other places, the Manoir Mauvagenet, which is an old manor that was built in 1734. So it's the same year that the Maison Drouin was built, not built, but the second part was built. So, and it was a manor. So there was a seigneur that lived there, a landlord, and he was a surgeon and he was also a merchant. So he had a lot of things to do, and it's very neat to visit the Maison Drouin and go to the manor after, because you see same year, 2 way of life, very different. There's also the Maritime Park. We're on an island. There was a lot of boats that were built on the island, so you can go and visit that, and it's very nice. I really enjoy it. If you like Félix Leclerc, a French Canadian poet, while he was on the island, he lived on the island very, very long. Don't ask me where he lived. I won't tell you. They always ask us that. No one on the island is allowed to say where he lived, because his daughter still lives there. So if she does not want a whole lot of tourists barging into her house saying that Félix Leclerc was living there. But there's a museum that she did. She brought a lot of his stuff there to recreate his office, recreate stuff like that. So you can visit that, and you can visit all kinds of other stuff, gardens. We have botanical gardens here. We have a beach. People don't know that, but we do have a beach. Some of the people on the island are kind of shy to say where it is, because not a lot of people knows where it is. So there's not a lot of crowded people on the island, on the beach, but we have beaches. We can swim in the St. Lawrence River. I do every year. So yeah, there's a lot of things to do on the island other than my 2 places.
But when we come to the island, that's where we'll head to first, right?
Yeah.
Your place.
Yeah,
Vicky,
you can.
Yeah, thank you, Vicky. That's great.
And just say 1 day is not enough.
No.
No. People think that you can do it in 1 day. You can if you want to, but you won't stop at anything.
Yeah,
You'll just turn around.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Sabrina, I'll bring it to a close now, but thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming out of your maternity leave to do this for us. It's been a wonderful tour around Île-d'Orléans, and especially to the 2 sites that the Fondation oversees. And it's really exciting to know that you are there, that Anglophones can make these interesting connections to their own history from far and wide, and it's all on the island, and it's really quite marvelous. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you for having me. It was very fun.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's great, and we've made a nice new connection to an organization. So it's excellent.
Awesome.
Thanks to all of you that have joined us today as well. Our next presentation is we're going over to Quebec City for the next one. It's with the Reverend Catherine Burgess and Guy Morissette of the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church. And their talk is called Saving Faith, Protecting an Historic Site by Opening Its Doors. And that's on Thursday, April 7th at 7 o'clock at night. So we've got a bit of span of time before the next one. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. So again, if you'd like to see our speaker lineup still to come, or you'd like to watch this one again, in case some of the information went by too quickly, you just go to our Heritage Talks Facebook page. It's accessible to everyone, and you can hear the recording and then see the lineup of the next presentations. Thank you, Glenn, for keeping everything on track. And thank you again, Sabrina, and everyone who joined us today. Have a great afternoon, and until next time, bye for now.